Good morning, folks. How are we doing today? It is the eighth day, I believe, of June 2025. It's about 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday. I hope I have fixed my audio issues. My microphone setting was a little low. That's about it. I've kind of tweaked it with the USB 96 thing from AudioBox. I don't know what the hell the thing is. There it is. It works. So let me know in the comment section if it's fixed. I think it is. I got two videos to make for you this morning. Neither of them is going to endear me to the alt left, especially my first one, especially the second one, especially the first and the second one. But this is why I live in poverty. And that's okay. I can also sleep at night. For the record, I can't sleep at night because of the COPD and the blood clot medicine and shit like that. But pain in my knee and all that stuff. I'm getting old, folks. I'm just getting old. I'm falling apart like everybody else. Neither of these is going to endear me to the Max Blumenthal crowd or the fucking Glenn Greenwald crowd, as if yesterday's would have endeared me to that crowd. So that's okay. It's also not going to endear me, I fear. Maybe it will, with the Palestinian solidarity side. But maybe it will in a strange way. This first video, we're going to talk about the Freedom Flotilla 2025. Is it actually a humanitarian flotilla bringing life-saving fucking stuff to the people of Gaza, or is it a candidate for Uncle Hotep's and Hotep Nation's 2025 Grifter of the Year awards? I'm betting you're going to go with me by the time I show you this and by the time this short video is over, that they may have to be considered Hotep Nation's 2025 Grifters of the Year, because this is indeed a grift. Here's the deal. The dealio. Greta Thunberg, whatever her name is, she's needing a new fucking grift. And don't say she wasn't grifting before, Scott. She was. I've covered this. We've written about this. Stuff has been exposed about this and talked about with this. She was picked up by some PR guy who wanted a young female to be the front person for the Youth Against Global Warming. Boo! And so she was selected for that. And she did her little stunt, sitting on the sidewalk outside her school. And the next thing you know, she's at the fucking UN or some place going, "How dare you?" Doing her best acting stint, having been coached up by her mother, who's a professional actor, was a professional actor. But I think both her father and her mother were like thespians, like community thespians at one time. Greta ends up being marketed as the face of the young people who are fucking emboldened and ready to go to stand up against big business, to save the planet. And of course, Naomi Klein gets involved with a children's book. Yeah, it's a big thing. Let's brainwash the kids as early as possible and get them motivated. And she was dragged around and put in front of cameras here and put in front of cameras there. How dare you! Over and over again, said Greta Thunberg. What's happened to global warming? Boop. What's happened to global warming? Is it the issue du jour that it was for a couple of years back? No. So Greta is the front person for a wilting movement. So what happens? Oh, there's starving children in Gaza. People seem to be upset about that. Pow! Greta on a fucking boat, on a little fucking dinghy, is rowed out to the Freedom Flotilla sailboat yacht 2025. And she starts making videos and Instagram videos featuring, of course, not different people on the boat, but, of course, Greta being on the boat. Back in 2010, even before 2010, I wrote about and covered Freedom Flotilla. Freedom Flotilla didn't start with Mavi Marmara. It was, I think, about a year and a half before that, 2 years before that. Unfortunately, I can't find any of my writing on what happened on that boat, on that flotilla. But I found some of it, and I'm going to share some of it with you. But more importantly, I found some images and stuff from back in that day. I've covered a number of these, even the Freedom Flotilla 2, which was a year after the 2010 fucking May 2010 IDF attack on the Mavi Marmara that took the lives of 9 people, actually 10, because one of them died from the injuries they incurred that day a while later, but they still, so it's actually 10 people who died from that. So I covered this back then. And when watching what's happening now, and I've posted links, they're on their way. Of course, people say they should, Lindsey Graham says, I hope they can swim, which is calling for violence against the fucking thing, which is fucking ludicrous for a number of reasons, which I will share with you in a second. But when I saw it, even though I am still supportive of their efforts, mainly due to respect from the other people involved in the efforts, I always knew that there was something off about this particular event. The first thing I noticed was that it wasn't a flotilla, even though they call it the Freedom Flotilla. In fact, it wasn't a flotilla. It's one pleasure craft yacht carrying 12 activists, some of which are obviously crewing the yacht. The others are just activists. Or maybe there's a crew that's not mentioned and there's 12 activists. I don't know. But I do know they are behaving in a starkly different manner than the people who have been on the Freedom Flotillas in the past. And the starkly different manner involves things like, I don't know, GoPro videos and Instagram influencer spots, which we seem to be getting a lot of from this Madeleine vessel, this yacht that is now just off the coast of Egypt and supposedly will be making landfall tomorrow. They would have made landfall today, but they got delayed because they had to respond to somebody, a distress call. In the middle of the Mediterranean, they had to spin around and go back to them. I can show you what I wrote this morning, and we'll talk about the images and what happened. But let me just say right off the bat, this seems like a LARP. This seems like a grift. And we know this is the reality of activism that Greta Thunberg has come up in. She expects attention. She seems to crave attention. She seems to miss being in the public eye. And now she's all beside herself and giggly on her way to see people starving and dying. And what are they carrying with them in this yacht? In 2010, May of 2010, the Marvy Marmara was one of 8 vessels. It was an actual flotilla. And they carried about 5,000 tons of materials, including medicine, aid, building materials, concrete, steel, clothing, some toys. They had about 5,000 tons of stuff. What is on the yacht? Aside from the 12 activists, it's a yacht, folks. The 12 activists and their luggage and their selfie sticks and their GoPros and their battery backups. Aside from all that, what do they got? They don't give you any numbers in terms of tonnage because there's no tons involved. We're talking bags of stuff. Flour, rice, diapers, feminine hygiene products, meaning tampons. That's what they're supposedly going to show up at a dock in Gaza and present to thousands of starving Palestinians who will be waiting for them for something. Bags of flour, rice, and cornmeal, some medicines, and feminine hygiene products. Because, of course, it's a yacht. It's not a vessel designed to carry anything of substance other than tourists, which is what Greta Thunberg and the rest of them actually are. What's going to happen when that scene unfolds? I believe, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. Now, I'm also going to show you where, according to their own tracker, their course that they have recorded, which is on the tracker, showing you where they're supposed to go, their course that they have recorded doesn't have them going to Gaza. It's got them going to Israel. And avoiding even Gazan territorial waters. What's going to happen? I believe that all the pomp and circumstance, oh, you better turn around, Lindsey Graham, you better learn how to swim. I think all that's for show. I think they'll let them land in Gaza if they try to. I think they will. But Scott, doesn't that mean they broke the fucking blockade? No. That means Israel decided to let some more aid into fucking Gaza to show everybody in the world that they're not really as bad as everyone says. Let them land. Nobody else can come because we'll use a drone and attack your ship while it's fucking loading, like they did May 2nd, 2025. The real Flotilla ship that was damaged to the point where it can't fucking move. They attacked it with a drone strike. The real ship. I'll show you a picture of that too. It was called the Courageous or something like that. I think they let them land because that does Bibi Netanyahu a whole lot of good. We're letting aid in. We let Greta Thunberg and her fucking pleasure boat yacht land in Gaza. And then I believe what they're going to do is take the remaining quadcopters they have and take the fucking AR-15s off them and put cameras on them and fly them up so they can record what fucking happens on the dock when 10,000 starving people who've been waiting for days for the Freedom Flotilla to bring them aid starts handing out tampons. And they realize they got 6 bags of fucking rice and 10 bags of fucking flour for thousands of fucking starving Gazans. And so the IDF sits up there and records it. And what happens is, again, this serves Israel's interest. It turns into a fiasco. Either they have fucking agent provocateurs from ISIS that's being paid by fucking Netanyahu to destabilize shit and to steal the aid. They have them in the crowd and they start going, we want more, give me it all. They start shooting off guns. Greta sprains a little ankle trying to run back to the goddamn yacht. The whole thing is a goddamn fiasco. And then Bibi Netanyahu can sit back with his lying fucking face and his big Dumbo ears and look right in the camera and say, you see, this is what happens when you bring aid in and you don't have professionals doing it the right way, like the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And then Greta Thunberg and the other tourists have to pop some smoke fucking grenades and push off from the fucking docks and escape like that scene out of fucking Apocalypse Now when they did the USO fucking party and the Playboy Playmates were down there trying to dance and the helicopters had to fly out before the whole place turned into a fucking circus. I think that's a possibility. A strong possibility. Because now the other possibility is this. They show up. The IDF expects all this stuff to happen. They got the quadcopters up there. And the Palestinians, because they're Palestinians, because they're Muslims, because they are fucking decent people, are polite and receptive and gracious for the effort. And Greta gets to make her fucking videos where she's the focus of attention, walking around in Gaza, saving the Gazan people, and talking about how she broke the blockade. And then she gets back in her fucking pleasure boat. And they enjoy another 5-6 day fucking cruise in a yacht across the Mediterranean Sea. That's also a possibility. You're like, Scott, how can you say all this? Here's Greta. She's a serious activist. What are you talking about, Scott? Of course, she's got her mandatory kafia. I'd love to ask her what it means. Here's another one. Wow, look at that. Wow. She's a influencer on Instagram. She has some fucking job with the mandatory kafia. almost like a costume. But yeah, oh wow, look at that. Let me show. Would you like to see the photo fucking op? A photo op from the. It was taken. The picture was taken May 9th, 2010, on the Mavi Marmara. Would you like to see what their attitudes were? You notice. Let me tell you something. I want you to pay very close attention. I want you to pay very close attention. Very close attention. These are actually Muslims. People who follow Islam. Some of whom are Turkish. Some of whom are Greek. Some of whom are Palestinians. How many of them are wearing a keffiyeh? You go look at a picture of the crew, the whole crew of the 2025 fucking Madeline fucking Freedom Flotilla. Every single one of them has a keffiyeh. As if everybody walking around in Palestine wears a keffiyeh. How many of them are wearing? This is the real deal. And this is well, you tell me. By the way, several of those men in this photograph ended up like that. And he's one of them, obviously. Would that happen on the pleasure boat? That's what that is, boys and girls. That's a pleasure boat. That's the Madeline, named after some woman who was a fisher person. Of course, it has to be named after a woman. They're bringing tampons, of course, and diapers. I'm sorry, I forgot the diapers. You see this back here? You see that back there? A couple barrels and stuff. That's the aid. That's the aid. That is the Rachel Corrie. It was one of 8, one of 7, along with Mavi Marmara. That carried 500 tons of concrete and steel. This is a Mavi Marmara. It carried a bunch of stuff, not a whole lot of, because the other vessels carried most of the fucking aid, but it was also packed to the fucking gulls. Gulls? Gullets? Gullets? Whatever they call. Gunnels? Gunnels. Packed to the gunnels with fucking aid. Wherever they could put it. Boxes and boxes of stuff. And this is the one, the conscience. Not the courage, but the conscience. This is the one they bombed May 2nd with drone strikes. So it couldn't bring tons of aid that it had on board. And this, of course, is the course that they recorded themselves that they are on and where they're going. You notice anything odd about their course? This is a pleasure boat cruise across the beautiful blue waters of the Mediterranean, where people like this can feel good about themselves, standing next to a Palestinian flag, wearing a keffiyeh, because that's what these Palestinians all do, is wear keffiyehs. This, and this, and this, I'm sorry, but appears to me to be a grift. And a rather disturbing one. This is the article. I'll post links to it down below. In 2010, the Freedom Flotilla consisted of 8 vessels flagged from 6 different nations. They carried thousands of tons of real humanitarian aid, such as, and you can read the stuff there, 550 tons of cement, 20 tons of paper, 100 tons of high-end medical equipment, wheelchairs, books, fabric, and thread. 150, these are from different vessels. 150 tons of iron, 98 power units, 50 precast homes, 50 fucking homes, 16 units of children's playground equipment, food, shoes, medicine, more wheelchairs, clothing items, notebooks, textbooks. Another boat carried 2,100 tons of cement. And I do believe that was the Rachel Corrie. 600 tons of construction steel and 50 tons of tile. And of course, one other had more wheelchairs, more building material, and more medicine. What is the pleasure boat, the Madeleine, carrying other than 2 young fucking quote-unquote activists taking selfies? Well, they're carrying medical supplies, no tonnage, no weight units, no units so you can know how much. But you saw how much, because that's in the back of the fucking boat. Medical supplies, flour, rice, baby formula, diapers, women's sanitary products, water desalination kits, crutches, and children's prosthetics. And that's it. That's the Rachel Corrie, by the way. There's plenty of links here to check out what I'm talking about. And you can read this and stop the video if you like and read it yourself. You have to have. I know they're young. I get that they're young. I get that being young and feeling like you're changing the world makes you high on yourself. And that's a hard buzz to fucking kick. That's a hard addiction to kick. I get that. Fine. That's fine. I get that. But there's got to be somebody on board that tempers that shit. Of course, it's not because Greta Thunberg is the big fucking star. This is the Greta Thunberg show. This is the rebranding Greta Thunberg with a new fucking cause tour. Or cruise, if you will. And to me, that's kind of obscene. Now, some people will enjoy getting some flour and rice and baby formula. And the diapers will be certainly useful for a couple days. Maybe the tampons will be of use. But none of that will be of use for long. Why? Because none of that can be in any fucking adequate supply on a pleasure boat, on a sailing boat. It just can't. So of course the question remains, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? If they are allowed to get through the fucking blockade, as I predict they might be. They might be. Depends on how smart the fucking Israelis are and the IDF are. Maybe it was the point all along, before they set out. Maybe it was the point before someone called Greta and said, hey, I booked you a slot. hop on the plane, go down to fucking Greece and get on a fucking boat. Maybe that was the point all along. Maybe. To let this thing in with its minimal aid and then watch the fucking riots take place, probably instigated by agent provocateurs from Bibi Netanyahu's own ISIS crew, and then use that to say, see, they're crazed. They do that shit no matter what you do. It's not fucking Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's fault. Perfect timing. But they'll say, so this proves the point. We're going to shut down the blockade. We're going to make sure nobody else comes through because we're looking out for the best interest of the people of Gaza. Not the Palestinians. They don't recognize Palestine as a state anymore. The Gazans. It's perfect timing. Perfect timing. And of course, you know, there's Greta Thunberg doing her part once again to help the very forces that she's supposedly in opposition to, much like she did with the global warming campaign. Don't believe me? Check out the World Economic Forum's global warming page. They've got a whole fucking section of that website. And they got one of those little wheel things and talking about global warming and how they can use it for public-private partnerships and control and all this shit. Big stuff, big doings. But of course, Greta Thunberg was opposed to all that big business stuff. Right? Just like she's opposed to what Israel is doing in Gaza. Right? We will see. I thank you for your time.